Today we're going to go over a heart-healthy diet. What is a heart-healthy diet? This is a presentation that I have given hundreds of times to different patients, whether it is just general heart health or if it's after open heart surgery. This handout is also good if you have diabetes as well, because really there's not one diet for one disease and one diet for another. There's really just a single healthy diet that's good for everything. It's good for diabetes, it's good for reducing your risk for certain types of cancer, it's good for if you have diverticular disease or heart disease. So this is really a well-rounded lecture that anyone can benefit from. And this is a handout that I have custom made myself using different components of other educational materials that I found on the web, and over the years I've sort of compiled them into what I would consider the ultimate education. This is a 5-page handout and it will be available in the description box below. So without further ado, let's get started. So before we actually get into what you're supposed to eat to help your heart, the first few things I want you to keep in mind is, one, this is what I consider ideal. This is an ideal diet. And so don't expect that this is going to happen overnight. This is going to take a lot of time, a lot of energy, and a lot of patience. The other thing I want to mention is don't try and do all these things at once. I mean, if you have the motivation and the energy to do all the different components of a healthy diet at the same time, congratulations. But for most of you out there, what I recommend is that you pick one component that you like and you do that for a while. Do that for a couple months. Once you get that down pat, you do a different component. And then after several years, you'll have followed the whole thing in its entirety. And last but not least, have some compassion for yourself. Making lifestyle and dietary changes, changing our habits, and making this commitment to ourselves, to our future, to our families, and to our health. It takes time, it takes energy. You will fall off the wagon many, many times. Just get back on. If you have a bad meal, that's fine. Try to not have a bad day. And work at it and continue to forgive yourself, have compassion for yourself, and keep getting back on the wagon, so to speak. So, the first component that I want to talk about is this bottom half here. This is the fruit and the vegetable section, okay? If you take all your food for the whole meal and you put it in front of you on a plate, about half of it should be fruits and vegetables. Now, you could do half your plate vegetables, and that would be awesome, and then you could have a little fruit over here. That would be even better. But for most of you that aren't big eaters, we can do here one fruit and one vegetable. Now, what's a fruit? Just one piece of fruit, one banana, one orange, one apple, a handful of grapes, a handful of strawberries. So we're going to be using this handful term a lot because I think we need to steer away from counting calories, counting carbs, counting fat, and measuring our food and just estimating, right? Our body doesn't care if it's a cup, or a little bit over a cup. Just use your hand, get in there, and just estimate. There's not a lot of science behind, these tiny details. We want to focus on the big picture here. For veggies, half a cup if you want to get out the measuring cup, or a handful is a good estimate. If you want to get technical, depends. Sometimes it's a full cup, sometimes it's a half cup, sometimes third cup. Just get a handful, okay? Now, I don't care how they're prepared. Your fruits and vegetables, I do not care how they're prepared, with one exception. I don't want them fried, and I don't want them covered in oil, okay? So, if steaming is best, fresh is best, you can do frozen, you can roast them, you can bake them. Even microwaving is not nearly as bad as we thought it was. In fact, we find that microwaved vegetables actually retain more nutrients than, say, if they were boiled or in water and some of that water-soluble vitamins leached out. You can blend them. That's my favorite way. You can steam them. Canned. The thing with canned is we find that fresh fruit is better than canned fruit. You're not really getting the same advantages of eating fruit if it's canned, but it's better than nothing. So half your plate, fruits and vegetables. Don't care how they're prepared. Just don't fry them. Don't cover in oil. If you've heard the term that olive oil is healthy, what they mean is that it's healthier than butter. But taking a healthy diet such as the one in front of you here and adding oil to it will not make it healthier. I'll say that again in a different way. Nature created food on this planet exactly as we should eat it. We know that we shouldn't refine our grains and eat refined white flours, pull the sugar out of food and just eat the sugar itself or make a syrup out of it. Why are we saying that it's okay then to have refined fat if we're already telling people, hey, you shouldn't have refined starches? So when we're talking about heart health, what we're looking for is plant fats in their full form. I'm talking avocados, olives, corn, your vegetables, nuts and seeds. You want to get your fat that is intact in the food exactly as nature intended for you to eat it. If you think about a tablespoon of olive oil, that's about 20 to 40 olives. But you're missing out on a lot of the vitamins, minerals, and fiber when you just pull the oil out and you don't actually eat the olives. Imagine, a tablespoon of olive oil takes up no space in your stomach, but 20 to 40 olives, you'd be so full. And plus, you'd end up not digesting all that fat either because it would be kind of taken up by some of that fiber. Okay. One fruit, one vegetable per meal for breakfast and dinner. You can have a couple extra fruits for breakfast. Lunch and dinner, you have one fruit, one veggie. Breakfast, you might not want a vegetable, but you can do a couple extra fruits. You can have fruits for snacks. If you're diabetic, combine your fruit with a little bit of fat or protein, okay? Next, we're going to go over to this little category here. This is our starches, okay? What is a starch? Basically a starch or a carbohydrate or a grain. There's a lot of different terms that we use to describe this category. And basically, the most of the stuff that falls into this category are grains. Grains are the seeds of crops, and so things like barley, quinoa, oatmeal, rice. These are seeds of crops. That's how they get the name grain. Potatoes also fall into this category, okay? We put bread, tortillas, rice into this category. We want this stuff intact if possible. And we'll talk about intact grains later. But you really want it as close to nature as possible. If you get it in a flour form, the flour is once processed. And then if it's refined flour, it's twice processed. So you really want it intact. Potatoes, steel-cut oatmeal, rice, quinoa, corn, all right? And then if you do have bread, pasta, whole grain, whole wheat, and we'll talk about reading labels and stuff like that. 4 to 5 grams per slice is what you're looking at, okay? 4 to 5 grams. We'll check out more about that. Protein. Last but not least, the category that most Americans eat way too much of is protein. They're pushing protein powders, they're pushing high-protein diets, and what I'm not seeing is a bunch of protein-deficient people. We do not have a protein-deficient condition, issue, disease in this country. It simply does not exist. It's very, very, very limited to a very small scope of people. We do not have protein deficiency 99.999% of the time in this country. So stop pushing the protein. 3 to 4 ounces is one portion, the size of a deck of cards or the palm of your hand. Okay? I tell people you really shouldn't eat more than 6 to 8 ounces per day. And if I were going to be totally honest with you, you really shouldn't eat more than 3 to 4 ounces per day. Okay? So if you have meat for your dinner, then you have a vegetarian lunch. If you have meat for your lunch, you have a vegetarian dinner. And why the heck are we eating vegetables or I'm sorry, why are we eating protein, meat, for breakfast? Cut it out. Okay? 3 to 4 ounces per day, ideally. And remember what I said at the beginning of the conversation, pick one thing. So if you can't cut back on your meat, but you can eat more fruit or more veggies, great. If you can't eat more fruits or vegetables, but you're like, all right, I'm going to start eating whole grain bread instead of white bread, good. You pick one category that you like. So fish, eggs, beef, all those things fall into this category. Okay, we know that we should limit red meat. The CDC put out a report in 2015. Limit red meat and cheese. Avoid bacon, cold cuts, processed meats like hot dogs. Don't eat that stuff. It is highly correlated with colon cancer, prostate cancer. Okay, when we look at meat consumption and disease, it's pretty much a straight positive line, a straight relationship. Okay, the more meat, the more cheese you eat, the higher your risk for many diseases. No one reduced their risk for chronic disease in this country by eating more meat, more cheese, and more dairy. Okay, tempeh falls into this category, tofu. What I want to emphasize here, beans, peas, chickpeas, and lentils. These things help lower your cholesterol, okay? They're really high in fiber. When you eat them, you literally poop out cholesterol. They're also great for people who have diabetes because they help control your blood sugar. So when you combine beans and rice with a meal, your blood sugars are not as high as if it was just rice that you were eating. And they also help lower your blood sugars on the next meal too, even if you only ate beans at the first meal. So beans, high in fiber, high in iron, high in protein, high in really good for you. They're fermented in your large intestine and create really beneficial compounds. And then last but not least, drink mostly water. Okay, the Harvard plate from the Harvard School of Public Medicine says 1 to 2 servings maximum of dairy. Look at the Nurses' Health Study. We find no correlation between decreased risk of osteoporosis and increased consumption of milk. So it's a myth that the milk protects against osteoporosis. Milk, there's no correlation between how much milk you drink and reduced risk for osteoporosis. So what we're looking at here is calorie density, okay? All the stuff, if you look at that plate above, you'll notice that 3/4 of that plate is plants. There are tons of fiber in plants. There's no fiber in animal products. And so all those fruits, all those vegetables, all those whole grains take up a ton of space in your stomach. There's no calories in fiber. There's less fat in fruits and vegetables and whole grains. And so what you find is that you eat more food with fewer calories. Rice, potatoes, beans, more in calories, but still a lot of fiber. Meat, okay, no fiber in meat. So you'll notice there's no fiber in meat, and there's more fat in meat than in fruits and vegetables and our grains here. And so not only does this take up less space in our stomach, but it's actually more calories too, more calorically dense because of all that fat. Cheese is like solid fat, and then oil is your liquid fat. See what I mean? A tablespoon of olive oil takes up no space, but it's a ton of calories. So focusing on plants to help keep you satisfied. And then this is nutrient density, okay? This is like how much nutrients are in the food we're eating. Raw leafy green vegetables, kale, spinach, solid green vegetables, okay, bell peppers, things like that. Non-green, non-starchy vegetables. Then we have our beans, our fruit. Look at all that nutrients we get in these products here. And then we get down to fish, and we get down to eggs and red meat and cheese. I mean, vegetable oil, soda is down here. There's no nutrients in these things. And people telling you that there's important nutrients in red meat and eggs and all that. Look, if you're going to eat food, get the most bang for your buck. This is where you want to be. Raw nuts and seeds, your whole grains, starchy vegetables. The nice thing about nuts and seeds, you get a lot of minerals from them. Nutrient density. Choose nutrient-dense options. Whoops. They aren't packed with extra calories or salt. Nutrient-dense foods and beverages are not only healthy for us, but all that fiber helps keep us full, satisfied, and reduces constipation. Just make sure to drink plenty of water, since fiber takes the space and some helps promote healthy weight without counting calories. Perfect. All right, next slide here. Let's go over. So grains are the dried seeds of various crops. Okay, wheat, berries, oatmeal, rice, corn. These are called intact grains. It's a seed. If they're milled, ground into a powder, they become flour. Think whole wheat flour. Whole grain flours contain 3 parts of the grain, which are now separated. So you get the outside, you get the middle, you get the germ where all the vitamins are, and you get some fat in there. Okay. During the process of making flour, many companies remove or refined grains down here. Wheat flour, all-purpose flour, white flour, bread flour, white pasta, white rice. They're taking away the fiber. They're taking away the germ. Basically, all you get is the endosperm. So what you want, wheat berries, intact grains, oats, corn, quinoa, barley, millet, spelt. You usually find those in the bulk bin section, okay? And they're usually you have to boil them for 10, 15, 30, 45 minutes. Generally, you just have to boil them. It'll soften them up, open them, and make them more easier to chew and digest. Whole grain foods. So when we take these intact grains and we mill them down, think putting them in the blender. We mill them down, but everything is intact. We don't remove stuff. We just mill it. You get the flour. So wheat berries turn to whole wheat flour. Brown rice turns into brown rice flour. Oats turn into oat flour. You have cornmeal. Okay. Millet flour, spelt flour, right? Must say whole. We'll look at that on the next slide. Now, if you take these and you separate out the bran and the germ, you just get the refined stuff. Stay away from that. All right, so how do we tell the food is refined? So I keep having this conversation about whole. Have to look for the word whole. If it doesn't say whole, they took out the fiber, the vitamins, and the minerals. It's not good. Look at these 2 very, very similar products. Certified 100% organic, hard red spring wheat flour. Wow, that sounds really healthy. Certified 100% organic milled barley flour. Wow, that sounds great. Organic, 100%. Perfect. That sounds good. I'm going to get this product. No. They took out the vitamins and minerals and the fiber. Has to say whole. Organic, whole grain, soft wheat flour. If they took out the germ and the bran and just left the endosperm, you get this. So you want the whole. Has to say whole. Wheat flour does not equal whole wheat flour. Alright, next slide here. Alright, standard American diet. This is just kind of an overview. Grain-based, maybe 55% of our calories come from these grains or these processed products. Lots of dairy and meat. Oils is a major source of calories. That is my theory and my belief is a reason why a lot of Americans are carrying around way too much weight, and that's because there is oils, right? Think high in calories, low in volume, low in space in your stomach. Not a lot of nutrients in them. Major, major source of calories. Even if you don't think, take a look at the chips, take a look at the crackers, take a look at your snacks. They're loaded with oils. You don't even know. You don't even know. Animal products at every meal, nutrient poor calories. Remember that chart with all the green green sections on it, okay? The green bar graph representing the nutrients, okay? Nutrient poor calories. I tell people, you go to the store, you go to the restaurant, and they give you a big steak and a side salad. We're looking for the opposite. A big salad, very small amount of meat. You got some vegetable soup here. You got your fruits, and you got your buddy here, the bean, okay? We're looking for a vegetable-based, a plant-based. 75% of your food should be plants. Lots of fruits, beans, nuts, and seeds. Oils used sparingly. Fewer animal products, nutrient-dense. We're hanging out way down here at the bottom where all those greens and fruits and beans are. All right. last but not least, am I hydrated? Here's just a quick chart. You can look. Just make sure that you're peeing, 10 times a day, 8 times a day, making sure that it's not super dark, okay? We want good urine output. We want nice clear or very light yellow urine. So make sure you stay hydrated, well hydrated, 2 to 3 quarts per day for most people. If you're older, have a hard time getting in fluids, maybe 2 quarts a day is good. And that includes all of your popsicles, tea, coffee, juice, as well as water, soups, and things like that. So with all this fiber you'll be eating, you'll need lots of water and movement, okay? Get up, move around, take the dog for a walk to help keep that fiber and moving through you. We don't want you to get constipated. So I hope you found this lecture helpful. Again, this is all available for free at the bottom. Share this with your friends. Share this with your family. Again, this is the Heart Healthy Education. It's also good for people who just want to eat better or want to reduce their risk for certain types of diseases. So please share this with people. Let me know what you think, and I can explain some more stuff. So thanks for watching.